Hey, what's up, guys? I'm gonna show you how to unwrap a model in Blender today. Um, this is just a Warhammer kind of thing I made earlier for a demo, and I'm gonna show you the best quick way I can find to unwrap something like this. And maybe I'll show you some tips and tricks too for later. But just the basics. I have a couple things I like to do. So if it's a symmetrical weapon, such as this, or symmetrical anything, as long as the textures are going to be the same on both sides, you can chop the thing in half and basically just unwrap and texture one side, and it'll do the other side as well for you. So it'll save you both time and texture space. Sorry, this is so tiny right here. Make sure you get it exactly in half, and if possible, make sure it's lined up right here with the Z, or the Z. Okay, so now I just have to unwrap this basically now. And if I were even more inclined, like since this is kind of symmetrical this way as well, I could get away with just unwrapping half of it. I mean, basically a quarter of it. So the problem is that it would put lines down the middle, which I don't necessarily want on these bigger pieces. So I'm just going to show, for example, from here. You could definitely unwrap the whole thing like this, no problem. Same exact concept. It's just if you do half of it and it's symmetrical, it'll save you texture space, so it'll look better in the end. That being said, let's start unwrapping. So first things I kind of like to do are go to your UV editing tab right here. There's some buttons you got to press. This one right here, keep UV sync selection. So it'll show the unwrap all the time instead of without it you have to choose, each piece at a time to select it. So turn that one on. Also go to UV live unwrap on this side in the UV editing tab and on this side live unwrap. So when you actually make your seams, it just automatically unwraps for you and stuff. Okay, so let's just do a basic unwrap. So in edit mode, press A to select all over here. Go to UV and hit unwrap. Okay, whatever. We just want somewhere to start from. I'm also going to add a grid so we can kind of see if the textures are being stretched or not. So up here, go to new and go to color grid. You can call it whatever you want. You can make it higher res. Just make sure it's square. So 1024 or 2048, doesn't matter. Hit OK. You can see it pops it in back here. Then let's go real quick over to the shading tab now and set this thing up with a material real quick. So click on your model, go to this material tab right here. It's the one that looks like a circle with checkers. Hit new, and that'll give it just a blank material. And then all we got to do is go add texture, image texture. Put it over here on the left kind of, and hit this little browse image thing. And you can see your color grid that you made is right here. So we'll just choose that. Grab the color output, connect it to base color, and you can see there's the color grid trying to show up. So it's clearly messed up. Anywhere that it's not squares, and you can't read the writing, then it is messed up. Like here, it's really stretched. And, a couple places look okay. So we're going to go in and try to fix that up real quick. So that's just to prep your material so you can see it. I like doing it that way. There's multiple ways to do it, but once you go back to the UV editing tab, you're going to have to change your view over here. So either just hit Z and go to look dev, or it's actually up here as well. So let's see. Look dev, that one. Okay, so I can see here's my unwrap. Another thing I like to do is if you pull this little arrow out right here, go to view and go to overlays, and then hit the stretching button. And it should show you where things are stretching. It's not going to make perfect sense for now, but basically you're going to want to chop off, you're going to want to mark the seams, which is kind of like separating the texture, wherever it would naturally separate. So I'm going to start, I guess, working on this place because it seems messed up. And start showing you what I would probably select. So I'm probably going to have to separate these cone pieces from the square piece. So I'm just going to select those edges. Either hold shift or control to get all those edges. And then go to edge and go to mark seam. Oh, so I can see over here it already is a separate island. To really alleviate the stretching all the way, I'm going to select. So when you're selecting, like I could put this edge anywhere, right? But I'm gonna choose the place that like gets seen probably the least, which is the bottom. So for humans, it's like you put it in the armpits. For just try to hide the seams if you can a little bit. So I'll cut it there. Look, that unfolds nicely. No stretching. Everything looks good. But you can see here, there is the texture, the seam right there. So they don't match up perfectly. If you're using a painting program, it'll work. So when you paint this side, it'll continue to this side. But for now, we're just working on getting everything square. So that's how you'd undo the cone. Now I'm going to work on the cube. First, you got to separate it, and every model's different, but kind of imagine it like as a big cardboard box that you're trying to cut open and then return into 3D. So I know I'm gonna have to cut all this off or mark the seams here because I want that box piece as kind of like a separate area. Okay, so you can do it all at once or separately, whatever. Go to edge, mark seam. Okay, now a bunch of things changed. I can see it's starting to unwrap a little bit. At least this piece is separate now, which if you click over here and you find something, you can see it's displaying over here what's selected and vice versa. You can hit the period button on your number pad if you have a number pad, and it'll zoom you into whatever area you have selected on either side. But to unfold a box, like if you get a box like an Amazon box, it has to be cut, in a certain way to unfold it. So generally it'll be cut, down a few sides. So let's try down this way and then maybe down this way and see what that does for me. Okay, still's got some stretching, so I may have to do it on this side as well. Let's mark that seam. And let's get this one too. Starting to unfold. See, it's still not perfect. Over here I can see where the stretching is really occurring, and you can kind of get an idea of where you might want to make your cuts. Your seams, like maybe right there. That'll kind of unfold them better. Unfold these guys. Mark seam. And that's looking better. So now, yeah. Now my checkerboard thing is looking all checkerboardy. That piece is good. These pieces are not good. Because they're attached to this and it's kind of it wouldn't be able to unfold that way. So I'm going to basically separate these ones as well because they're kind of a separate shape. So I'm going to just select them real quick. And you can either go to edge, mark seam, or you can just hit Control E, mark seam. and you can see it cut it off right here. So that's the piece, but it still is stretching because it needs to be cut. So I'm going to cut it again. I'll probably try to hide it. I'll cut it, I don't know, here and there. It unfolds it nicely. Everything looks good. So you're going to have to do the same for each kind of shape that you have on your specific weapon. So cut that piece off again, go in here, open it up. You can see it's unfolding again. Let's go over here and release this one. Mark the seam. Okay. And cut it up the side one more time. Okay, so those are free. They're good. Everything looks groovy. The cylinder is already done, actually. And let's see, the stretching is only kind of like here. So looks like this kind of spike also is not going to be necessarily, it's not going to fit. So I'm probably just going to chop or, separate it. Mark the seam, separate it, and then you're going to have to choose a line that you want to unfold it from. Maybe even two. Or, let's see. Let's try to mark that seam. Sorry. And then you can move it and kind of see, okay, well, these little areas are really where it's keeping it stuck. Let's see. Yeah, we don't want that. What is this? So if there's a seam that you put that you don't want anymore, like, okay, I don't think I need that one. I can just click it, go to edge, clear seam. And then it's going to be kind of a juggling act of like, how perfect do you want your textures versus how many seams do you want and how big you can make them. So that's probably fine. If you wanted to, you can cut it more, put more seams. I would probably live with that. I think this is probably livable as well. I mean, it's a little stretchy over here, but I think it's fine. Personal preference. But that is basically the gist of it. So you can select them all by hitting A and go to UV average island scale and pack islands, and it should kind of put them in there for you. It doesn't do the greatest job. You can always readjust them. Manually you can resize or reshape or whatever. But that's the gist of it. And then if I go back into just regular modeling and turn my modifier back on, so my mirror modifier that I had, I can just do that. Oops. And now it's basically unwrapped. There we go. It's unwrapped on both sides. So you don't have to do it symmetrically like that. You can do them just as one big piece, but the concept's the same. So hope that helps a little bit. From here, we're going to go on to texture painting, and yeah. Thanks for watching.